I'm Sean Connolly, for those who don't know me. Harold here should be up doing this. He has more experience. How many years now?
3 almost.
3. Never misses a support group.
Very rarely.
Very rare. I work with the team and as a psychologist try to be available to work and help with behavior change. And those of you who have been through it know that the challenge is changing behavior. And that's the real challenge. So the topic tonight was very, very general, mental health and well-being or something. And I thought it was too general, so I thought I'd focus more on emotions. You know, the mental health area takes care of, focuses on emotions. How do emotions and feelings affect our behavior? And I thought I'd focus on emotional eating, because that's a topic that we're asked about regularly and a topic that comes up and something that I'm sure you all have to face, that I have to face. It's so easy for me, you know, when Dr. Cavazos really gets on me for something, and I go home and apple pie and bluebell ice cream sound great to me. But we all have to watch that. You know, my addiction to chocolate or whatever it is. What do I need to do? Okay. And so it's something we face regularly, whether it's the stress at work, whether it's the stress at home, whether it's something from the past, whether it's coping with the changes and the challenge of changing our behavior, whatever it is. Emotional eating is a challenge for all of us. And sometimes it's happiness when we celebrate, whether it's at weddings or birthdays or holidays. You know, we all feel good, and maybe we can tolerate something that maybe we shouldn't, whatever we go through emotionally. And the other side of it is how we think and how we process information and how we think about ourselves, and the reality of having been in this business now for 40 years, in the psychology business, never meeting a human being that needed coaching with negative thinking. We do a good job to ourselves with negative thinking. And I think it was someone who was here at one of these support groups many years ago said something that I've always remembered, that she was very successful with her surgery, but she said, after the surgery, what I noted was that that after failure of diet, there was always that little voice in the back of your head thinking, maybe you're going to be the failure with this surgery. And we talked about, how do you shut up that voice? How do you silence it? Because, like I said, somehow or another, as human beings, we seem addicted to negative thinking, or what we call negative self-talk. You know, I'm not going to make it, whatever. So monitoring the negative self-talk and how we can switch it around, and those of you who have that I've met before, we have on our website affirmation statements that I've collected from patients over the years that try to counteract that negative self-talk. And that programs in positive thinking. It was someone at this group that, several months ago, that said to me, I haven't met you in 4 or 5 years since I had the surgery, but when I went through the surgery, you handed out these affirmation statements, and I took 3 of them, and I put them on my mirror, and they're still there. And he said, I said those religiously every morning. An affirmation statement is, I affirm my decision to have the surgery. I affirm my ability to be successful. I affirm my ability to control my snacking today. Whatever it is, that pick a few of them that personalize it for you and program in that positive thinking. Because, as we say, our natural addiction seems to be the negative self-talk. So looking then at emotional eating, and feel free to comment, share. There's lots of people here with experience. If I ask you to, there are 2 pages. the front and the back. So at least hopefully there should be a front and back, and then there's a second page.
Is there 3 pages?
No. Oh, that's my part.
Ah,
That's one of the original.
Oh, okay.
So
we don't give the original?
They're front and back.
front and back. The first page is front and back.
Okay.
And what I'd like to talk about is some definitions. We've talked about the first comment, what is a habit, as opposed to what's a compulsion. You know, one of the surgeons I work with said to me recently, you really need a class on addiction to carbs. You know, what is an addiction? Addiction to carbs. What is a compulsion? A habit is something, you know, we all get into bad habits. And a habit is something we repeat consciously or unconsciously. You know, we all have habits. You know, I have a habit of how I go to work every day. It's not the only way, but I get into the habit of it and do it consciously or unconsciously. Walking to the snack machine during a break, it's a habit. Or getting up from our desk and go to the restroom, and then maybe on the way back have a habit of going to the vending machine, whatever it is. But to just monitor your habits and see, is this helping me to observe the rules, to follow the guidelines that's going to help me achieve my weight loss goals. A compulsion is more forceful, is a behavior repeated forcefully that may seem very difficult to control. It has more of a control over me than sorry, it's so confusing.
It's okay, I'll get it figured out.
Okay. Like eating, instead of eating one piece of chocolate, I eat the whole box of chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And once I see it, I got to eat the whole thing. Or the compulsion we all have, including myself, that I've talked to several patients about, the clean your plate club. You know, I grew up in that. God, you know, you can't leave food on the plate. What about those kids in Africa or China that go hungry? And all of those advice our parents gave us, or the society in which we grew up. An impulse is a sudden, and we all have impulses. The impulse to you see something on TV. You see, boy, that looks good.
We're missing page 2 on a lot of them. We're getting to make copies of page
Page 2 in the back of it.
Yeah, well,
Some of them?
Just on a few of them.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Are
okay.
you sure? Not enough? Oh, I'm sorry.
There's some, yeah, there's a lot of page 2.
Okay, I'm
Make
sorry.
copies.
And someone check that. Sorry about that. An impulse is a sudden reactionary behavior, usually expressed before it's controlled. So we all have impulse. We see something, we hear something, oh, that sounds good, let me go get it. You know, we have impulses all the time. So monitoring your behavior in terms of, do I have some habits I need to address? Do I have some compulsions that I need to address? Or do I need to monitor my impulses? And how do I do that? The impulse of going to the refrigerator for ice cream after an unresolved argument with spouse or child. It can be a habit, but it can also be an impulse. You know, it's, as I often say, food does not talk back to us. It's our best friend. It nurtures us, it comforts us. And so the impulse is, oh, to heck with the rules. Let the impulse take control. So monitoring our behavior and becoming aware of doing this, of doing something to interrupt it or change the behavior. Some of the behavior change skills. One of the things we talk about in behavioral health a lot is awareness skills. And they often say awareness is the first step of change. If I don't become aware that I have a habit. Some people have said to me over the years, you know, I wasn't aware that I really, when I get stressed, I eat. If you're not aware of that, then there's no way to change it. So awareness is the first skill. Awareness of our behavior, awareness of our feelings. And it is a skill. Sometimes we've been taught growing up not to be aware of, for example, our feelings. Some people just don't pay any attention to their feelings. There are people who are so well defended. We men in the group do a good job of that, more so than women. You know, we want to go out and talk about the game tonight or the game last week, and we don't want to talk about feelings. So we're not encouraged to be aware of what we feel. Some cultures do a better job than others. I thought that when I came to the States first, I thought the Irish were the only people who ignored feelings, and to find out we all do a good job of ignoring feelings. I work with some seminarians and interested in the ministry, and I was saying to them recently, you spend a lot of time and effort and energy into your intellectual development. You go to school, you study. That's all important in doing this. You spend a lot of time in your spiritual development. You pay attention to your health, although most of you are young and you don't pay much attention to it, but you do keep active. But there's very little attention to your emotional development. And when I'm asked to screen people for ministry, which is essential in most denominations nowadays, we're asked, that's what we're looking at. I tell people, I'm asked to look at how do you manage emotions. I had a young man in the other day, and I said, for example, how do you manage anger? Oh, I manage it very well. No one ever knows that I'm angry. Nobody ever knows. And I was proud of that. But as we all know, who have experienced life and relationships, that can even get to the point of causing a heart attack. So awareness is the first skill. And I'd encourage you to develop the skill of awareness. Awareness comes from either inside of us, like, oh God, I'm aware of that. It's just something that you connect, make the connections, connect the dots. I wasn't aware of that. Or other people make you aware of it. Spouses do a good job of that. Are you aware that you do this? Are you aware of your attitude? I was telling Dr. Gavato, who was it? Some of you about at the Spurs game the other night. I was a very super active guy, and he was sitting beside my wife, and he started patting her on the knee, and he was patting everyone else on the knee, and I was getting not so much at the knee, but at his behavior. You go to enjoy the game, and my wife made me very aware. Don't be getting angry at him. Don't get upset. Well, I paid for the seats. I don't have the seat beside that idiot. But anyway, my wife made me aware of increasing anger here about cooling. So we all have. So self-monitoring, self-evaluation and self-correction. How do we correct behavior? So awareness is the first skill. Developing the skill of awareness of feelings, of behaviors that are critical for change. One must go from lack of awareness to a conscious awareness. The more we are aware of feelings. I saw someone recently whose best friend committed suicide, and we talked for an hour, and I said to him, I think that what I hear most about as I listen to you is you feel betrayed by a friend of 30 years who didn't tell you he was depressed. I never thought about that, but that's what's bothering me, the betrayal of the friendship. So, I'm trained in that to help people to become aware, but ever since then, he said that was helpful to clarify. So sometimes we're just not aware of the word that captures our feelings. And sometimes when we become aware of it, then we can deal with it. So awareness, as I said, is the first step of change. When and where does the most of your snacking occur? When and where do your impulses come out, that you have greater difficulty? Do you find greater stress at work or at home? Yeah, they're one of your children that cause you more stress than others. So all of these things some comments here, some resonation. So in what relationships are you more likely to eat emotionally? So anyway, I won't go over, you have some ideas there to think about. The dynamics of change. Having the right mindset, and that's where I mentioned earlier, trying to have a positive mindset, trying to become aware of negative self-talk. That's can be crippling to us at times. And sometimes we're not aware of what we tell ourselves. It's the phrase that's used, self-talk, is what do we tell ourselves? What do we say? How do we say, you're never going to be successful. You'll never control that. You'll never be able to quit smoking. You'll never be able to quit drinking coffee, or whatever it is that you need to work on. So, and that's where the affirmations comes in. Some reminders, some of you, I'm sure, would resonate. A patient said to me, was coming in for a revision recently, and said to me, I didn't realize the importance of the mindset until after the surgery. I'm sure everyone agrees with that. Having the right mindset, whatever that might entail for someone, however you might personalize that. But having the mindset that I'm in control of this, I'm in charge, just feeling in control. There's a particular psychology concept called locus of control, which means the locus being the Latin for place, the place of control. Do you believe that control of your behavior and your life is inside of you, internal, or outside of you, external? And there's been a ton of research to show that wherever your belief is very significant. They did research on looking at about 1,000 people with accidents over 2 years. And they gave them this questionnaire which clarifies, is someone internal or someone is external? And more external people, believers, had more accidents than internal. I mean, they've looked at Republicans and Democrats. They've looked at ministers. They think, well, if ministers believe in God and God, influences life, maybe they're more external than other people. They didn't find that. They found that most ministers are internal. But to ask yourself, do I believe I'm in charge of my success? If you're external, you can move over to becoming internal. But that's research has shown that that's a very important concept in internal versus external locus of control, in how successful you are. It's reflected in career, how advanced you go in career, how advanced you can. They looked at people who quit smoking, and they found that internals were more successful at quitting smoking than externals. If what external means is, that cigarette, that nicotine controls me, that food controls me, that depression controls me, whatever. So it's either something outside of myself, whether it's powerful others, whether it's fate, whether it's luck, controls me rather than I'm in control of my life. And so the more internal you are, the more you convince yourself, reassure yourself, I'm in control of whether I'm successful or not. I'm in control of whether I change behavior or not. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm in charge. So an internal locus of control, an internal mindset, will help you to be successful. And you can be, you can be internal in most areas of your life. Sometimes personally, I don't feel like my vote counts. It's in the social, political area, I'm not always convinced that what I do, whether I vote or not, is going to have that much of an influence. But in generally, I feel, I control my life, control of my life. But you can you can be internal in many areas, but yet external in some area. I remember when I was at the university, I had an argument with, there was one of the students was doing a dissertation on this, and she happened to have been a background as a nurse, an RN, and she said she feels internal in all areas except health. He said, oh, with all of these bugs going around the air, you can't control your health. Well, in many areas, yeah, I guess we're all susceptible to cancer or to, what is it that's getting attention now, flesh-eating bugs or whatever. So, we can all have, you get into an airplane, most of the time we feel, everybody takes safeguards, but we can't control accidents or things like that. But that particular concept, so I do encourage you to look at yourself and see how much control do you feel you have over your behavior and whether you're going to be successful or not. Talk about affirmation statements. There's some other suggestions there. I won't take too long. Environmental reminders. Looking at, you've all talked about watching your purchasing habits, not purchasing snacks. I tell my wife, don't bring chocolate into the house. I'm addicted enough when I'm not there. But changing the environment, not having it available. Reminders on the pantry door or refrigerator door. Something that, they're all gimmicks, but they help us to change habits and compulsions or impulses. Wearing a badge, you just got a what was it, a badge or a medal of some kind, something to remind you. Praise yourself, affirm your success, and that is part of feeling positive. Get visual feedback of progress. Some people like to draw graphs. Research has shown that with weight loss, there's some reason, long before I was familiar with bariatric surgery, we were told that the research shows that if you have some visual feedback, if you're tracking your weight loss, there's something about that visual feedback is more reinforcing and encouraging and will help you to stick with it, in addition to just no feedback. So, avoid tempting environments. Avoid certain restaurants, certain types of food, certain areas of the grocery store, whatever you may need to manage your environment. Behavior change. Create a new healthy habit that is self-nurturing and reassuring. One of the things that, like we say in terms of emotional eating, when we're stressed, then that's when we are most vulnerable to ignoring the guidelines. So if we've used food, as I have used food in the past, to manage stress at times, some people use alcohol, some people use food, some people use other things, but what do you put in its place? What is self-nurturing? What is self-comforting? What is reassuring? And whether, I know in the past I've handed out suggestions like either listen to music or go to a movie or watch a movie or have something routine that when you are stressed that you say a prayer or you listen to a certain favorite song or something that will distract you and help you to manage the stress in a healthier way. Distinguish mind hunger and stomach hunger. I'm sure we've talked about that at various times. Substitute I don't need a snack rather than I need a snack. One major issue is for all of us, no matter whether it's related to food or not, is how to manage impulses. We all have impulses to say things. If you know someone at work, a boss or someone that you don't particularly like, But you walk down the hallway and here's the person coming up, and you instead of the impulse of saying, "I hope you have a miserable day today," you say, "Good morning, have a nice day." We all have experiences of controlling that impulse to say something that may be inappropriate, may help us to lose our job, but we keep it inside. So when it comes to food, monitoring the impulses you have. Awareness is the first step of change.